So today we're talking about how to have advisory sessions. And I think that the biggest question that I would love to ask you, and I'd like you to share in the chat box, what's your definition of actually being a business advisor? Let's have a think about that. What is an advisor? I think that that's a question that we all ask ourselves. Let me know what you see as a business advisor. Helping my clients make confident decisions. Nice, I like that. Excellent, Lena. What I'm going to share with you today is actually the framework that will make that happen. So I'm very excited. What do you see as a business advisor? Is it someone going through management accounts? Is it using things like Fathom and going through that? Is it helping them set goals? What is it that you see as business advisor? David says accountability. Yeah, I like that too. Brilliant. Okay, so when it comes to business advisory, what do you feel is the thing that you find most difficult? What do you find hardest when you're sitting with a client and you're trying to move from the compliance accountant and bookkeeper into advisory? What do you think is the thing that you find the most difficult? Monetizing it. Great, Andrew. Super. I can help with that. You know I can. How are you, Andrew? Good to see you. Help client achieve commercial success. Yeah, absolutely. That's really important. It's very easy when I talk about being a vital advisor, valuable, impactful, trusted, agile, and then the L is lucrative, and lucrative is making your clients money, making them more money, and making yourself more money. Yeah, right. So Zanita says that one thing that she finds difficult is trying to explain business owners that accounting and finance is more than just taxes. Yeah, great, amazing. So hello to everybody. Thank you for sharing that. It's just gone 2 o'clock and I am going to dive in. If you could let me know in the chat box, please, whether or not you're a newbie or an oldie. So have you been to a webinar before? That makes you an oldie, not an old person, but an oldie with me. If you are a newbie, can you let me know in the chat box? Because if you're a newbie, I need to explain how this works. You are an oldie, indeed, indeed, indeed. Okay, so a lot of you are at least second time, if not 20th time or 30th time with me, which is great. Definitely feel like an oldie, says Claire. I'm going to say that. First time at my webinar. Okay, so Zanita, and the way that these work is they are educational. I'm not here to pitch you anything. If you decide that you like my content and you'd like to find out more about working with me, then you are more than welcome to book a call. But what I do in my webinars is hopefully inspire and educate and show you ways that you can implement advisory into your firm. As a newbie, I'll just share what it is that I do. So I specialize in helping accountants, bookkeepers, and CFOs to go from a compliance-led firm into a hybrid of compliance and advisory. Some of my clients then decide just to dive into advisory. We take all your experience, all your education, who you are as a person, and show you how to create a unique methodology, productizing it and turning it into something that you can sell for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6K a month or more. And it's completely unique to you. It's not about using a framework that every other advisor out there is using. We look at your ideal client, who you are, what they need, and put something together that's completely unique with frameworks and strategies within it. It's absolutely foundational to having a successful advisory firm. However, what we're talking about today is all about how to have those advisory conversations. So for those of you who would like to know how to have an advisory conversation that helps your clients be accountable, help them take action, help them make more money, all of that kind of thing, then you're in the right place. So Lena says, for me, it's about changing my message from accountant who offers extra advice to advisor who can help with the fundamentals. I'm getting there, but it's been a long haul. Yeah, Lena, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I do have slides. So you're probably used to that, those of you who are oldies. We've spoken a little bit about traditional definition of advisor. We've spoken about accountability. I thought that was really great. None of you actually said give advice. So that makes me quite happy, because actually what tends to happen is when someone says you need to be a business advisor, we automatically go into the misconception that they believe the advisor's main role is to simply provide answers or solution. But actually, the truth is very much more than that. It's guiding, facilitating, empowering, helping clients to make their own informed decisions and take action on those. So who was it that said accountability? I can't find it now. Oh, accountability. David said accountability, right? Accountability is really key. And I'm just in the process of proofing my new book, The Relationship Economy. And I hope you guys have got registered to get a free copy of this. But as I'm going through it, I'm proofing it. And the last chapter I've actually proofed is about the knowing doing gap. And the knowing doing gap is we all know what we need to do, but actually doing it is the difficult bit. And a great thing, a great role that an advisor can step into is actually taking someone from knowing that they need to hire someone or cut their costs or, decide that they want to add this line or get rid of this line, with they know they need to do these things, is actually getting them to take action. The doing is really key. And that's where your role is as the business advisor, to close that knowing doing gap. That's one of the things that we have to do. Is less about handing out the advice and more about opening different doors for clients to find their own solutions and then take action on those solutions. Now, a lot of advisors have fears around what it is that they should be doing and should be helping people with. One of them is fear of inexperience. So I have a lot of clients come to me, or potential clients come to me before they're a client, and they're like, I know what I want to help people with, but my ideal client has revenue of 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, and I don't have a business that has that kind of revenue. So how can I advise businesses of this size? So they have fear of inexperience, lack of knowledge, and concern that you don't know enough to be effective. And then the other one is fear of giving the wrong advice. And this one's very key. And I had this conversation with my clients this morning on our call, is you will get in trouble if you give the wrong advice and you're governed by a body. So you have to make sure, even if you're doing business advisory, that you are compliant in the advice that you give. And this can enable you to not show up as a business advisor through fear, right? And I totally get that. So these fears, but they're not insurmountable. And what we need to do is recognize them and then find a way to overcome them. So one of the things that I want to share with you today is how to have a conversation with someone so that you don't have these fears, and actually you can show up with a business that's turning over 10 million and still be a very, very effective advisor. So we have to tackle the fear of inexperience. That's very important. Now, what we need to understand is every expert was once a beginner. And I know for me, when I started working with accountants and bookkeepers, I wasn't an accountant or a bookkeeper, although now I feel like I am after all these years, having worked with you guys for over 10 years and for studying everything that you do. But what I brought to the profession was something very, very different from a traditional accountant or bookkeeper, because you have been doing things for a long time in exactly the same way. And I brought innovative ideas because I wasn't bound by the way things have always been done. So I brought a new business model into the accounting profession. And I've now worked with over 800 accountants and bookkeepers and changed their business model so that they have the higher revenue and fewer clients. That wasn't the way things were done before I came into the profession. So to tackle the fear of inexperience and actually embrace your different way of thinking, because you're not bogged down by knowledge, is to understand the journey that we're going on. So I was a novice when I first came into the accounting profession. But then very, very quickly, I became competent, then I became proficient, then I became advanced, and then I became an expert in my area of helping accountants, bookkeepers, and CFOs. And whether you are novice or whether you think you're advanced or expert, we just have to overcome that fear by taking action. So the experience journey looks like this. So at the novice stage, you're just starting out and learning the basics. And I remember when I first started working with accountants and bookkeepers, what I did was actually give away lots and lots of conversations for free. I was very proficient in marketing and sales, and I was very good at understanding how to get clients, how to price clients, how to position yourself in the marketplace. I wasn't experienced at the accounting and bookkeeping profession, although I felt like I knew what you were missing. So I just had to start out and learn the basics of the profession. I had to understand what it is that you did, how you worked, how you wanted to deliver to clients, and I got my first client session completed. So as I moved into being a business advisor of sorts to accountants and bookkeepers, that's what I had to do. And this is exactly what you have to do. So if you decide that you want to specialize, and you want to specialize with lawyers, for example, but you've never been a lawyer, well, of course, that makes perfect sense because you're an accountant. I haven't been an accountant and bookkeeper. That makes perfect sense because actually I'm a positioning and pricing and packaging expert, right? So what you have to do is gain foundational knowledge and understand the core principles of the industry that you want to work with. That will build your confidence. A lot of people that I help and I train when it comes to actually being a business advisor, a lot of them end up thinking that they should be helping other accountants because that's where your experience so far lies. But that actually means that you bring your own baggage into the accounting profession because you're so deep in it, and that gives you no different point of view. My clients who succeed really, really well go, do you know what? I'm going to try this industry and gain experience in this industry. And you move from novice to competent, where you understand deeply about the knowledge that you need to know for that industry or that specialism. And what happens is your ability to understand advisory scenarios without guidance means that you build your confidence through experience and from feedback. So when I first started working with accountants and bookkeepers, I used to educate you how to get clients. That was when I was at kind of the novice and the competent stage. But actually, what started to happen was that during the proficient stage, I started to modify approaches based on context. And very quickly, I realized that actually my first major client success story, which was a gentleman called Alistair Barlow, and he ran a business called Flinder. He's now sold it. You might know him. He's super famous within the accounting profession here in the UK. And what he was he was my first absolutely brilliant case study of implementing my productized advisory methodology. It wasn't called that at the time, right? So what I did was I refined my skills for about 3 years before I had this really amazing case study and realized that it wasn't about teaching you how to get clients. It was actually helping you change your business model. So I started off as a novice, I became competent, and then moved into proficient, and then became advanced stage, where I was deeply recognized by my peers and my clients as a knowledgeable advisor. And this took 3 or 4 years, but it doesn't mean that it took 3 or 4 years for me to get a great reputation and for me to earn money. I was earning money and I was changing people's lives during this whole process. But now how good I am is very different from compared to how I was back in 2016 when I first started working with accountants and bookkeepers, right? So what happens is you have to move through this, and it's a journey of time. It's a journey of experience. And this is what I need you to understand when it comes to moving into the advisory stage, is it's a journey of time and journey of experience. And you can start out at the novice stage, and because you have a different point of view, you're not running a traditional legal firm, or you're not running a traditional construction firm, but you have your experience, your lived knowledge, who you are as a person, that still bring loads and loads and loads of value. And as you go through these stages, you eventually become expert stage on your specialism, on who's your ideal client. You are really good at setting the standards. You evolve in the way that you do things, and you become kind of like the influencer, and you mentor other experts. So I even have people in the accounting profession who are suppliers to accountants and bookkeepers come to me and say, hey, Amanda, I need help in reaching these people. I need help in packaging, all this kind of thing. So what I think is really interesting is you will go through this journey, and some of you might feel that you're between novice and proficient, but that is all part of the journey. You can't go straight into being an expert, but you will earn money along the way and you will get better and better. And once you accept that you have to go through the experience journey, advisory becomes less stressful. It becomes more kind of, I'm where I'm at and I'm getting better every single day. So committing to confronting the lack of knowledge is all about learning as you go, not only before you start and not only as you go through those different stages. So you need to leverage tools, mentors, continuous education. So what you're doing today, right, if I just go back to the experience journey, what you're doing today is maybe you already feel competent, but you want to be more proficient or move to advanced. And I'm giving you the framework today to actually get really good at holding those advisory sessions. Okay. So confronting lack of knowledge is about tools, mentors, continuous education. You can't be a business advisor by snapping your fingers and knowing how to do that. You have to practice. Practice makes perfect, and you have to learn exactly how to do it. Now, knowledge isn't static. It's part of growing your expertise. It's part of the journey. And at 3 o'clock today, I have my business coach who I am speaking to so that I can grow my expertise as an advisor, as a business owner. It's all part of the journey, and it continues and continues and continues. And I've probably now spent over £500,000 on knowledge. So when people invest in me, I'm not saying to you, hey, invest in me. This is everything I've gathered from just running my business. It's also everything I've learned, all the 15, 16, 17 years now. I have been exploring running my business and running my business. That's a really long time. I started my business in 2009. And when I look back at that, A, it's gone really quickly. And B, I've never done anything other than run my business, it feels like. So that knowledge and that expertise that I've gathered over that time and the amount that I've invested over that time, I invest between 50 and 60 grand a year on average. Didn't when I started, but I do now. That all becomes part of your journey as well. So as I go through the experience journey, this is also about my learning. All right. So understanding the risk of misguidance, that's probably the thing that you worry about most. It's not so much what I worry about because nobody's coming after me because I'm not ACCA or ICAW or any of the others that you can choose from. But what we have to do is mitigate the risk of misguidance by having a consultative approach. So this means that instead of giving advice, and I was very, very, very chuffed to see that none of you said giving advice. Instead of giving advice, we focus on asking questions and guiding clients to make their own informed decisions. This means that you're not going to say to them, this is what you should do. You're going to say, what do you think that you should do? Let's explore the options. And this is great. So it's okay to collaborate with your peers as well and seek second opinions so that you can boost your confidence in your advice. And those of you who are part of a body, you have all those peers that you can go to. And again, another great example of that was this morning. I had two of the people in my call this morning, one who is still waiting to get their practice certificate, the other one who's had it for 5 years. And they decided that they were going to team up and share how you can do business advisory without getting in trouble. And it was really nice to see. And it was peers helping peers. And that's really fantastic. And that's what will help you mitigate the risk of the misguidance. The other thing that we need to understand is perfect advice doesn't exist, but thoughtful guidance does. So we can Google, if you think about it, we can Google, we can chat GPT, we can go to Claude and ask questions. So you could type into Claude, how do I hold advisory sessions? All right, that's great. That could be useful. However, when you ask Claude that, if at any point you don't agree with something that Claude has says, you're not going to take action. So what we want to do actually is help our clients take action, close the knowing doing gap, have a look and understand the person in front of you, because whilst ChatGPT can give advice, it can't help that person bring in all of their personal pains and problems and stresses and fears and frustrations to take action. So your role is actually to facilitate the decision making, not dictate exactly what people should do. And that's something that AI can't do. It's relationship based. It's about looking at the whites of the eyes of the people that you're talking to. And one of the reasons why I get you guys to comment in the chat box is because we need to have a two-way conversation. I need to know what's going on with you to make these sessions really relative. That's the one thing that AI can't do. It doesn't know the questions it needs to ask because it can't see what you're going through. And that's why having the advisory sessions are so important about human to human connection. So the true role of a business advisor is, rather than providing answers, you actually spend your sessions listening and questioning and asking questions. The most effective advisors facilitate their clients' thinking rather than direct it. And this shift in approach will absolutely change your effectiveness as a business advisor. And another thing that I'm talking about in the relationship economy is that knowing, doing gap. That is so important because people tend to know that they need to raise their prices. It's obvious they need to raise their prices. How many of you know you need to raise your prices, but are like, I'm not sure, A, how to do it, B, I'm worried about losing a client. I know it makes sense on paper, but I don't actually I haven't done it in the past 12 months. How many of you feel that way? You're nervous about raising your prices. Just put a yes or no in the chat box for me. How many of you are nervous about raising your prices? All right. Yeah, right. And the reason why you're nervous about raising your prices is an emotional reason, not a logical reason, because logically, if you raise your prices by 20%, you would have to lose a heck of a lot of clients for you to be in negative revenue. But emotionally, you have fear around raising your prices. So if I was going to sit with you and be your advisor and I was working with you one-on-one, I would get to the root of that fear. So I would try and get you to raise your prices through logic, but I also would need to know why you are hesitant. And I would have to get to the grips of that. Now, a business owner can type into Claude and go, I need to raise my prices. Tell me how to do it. And Claude can tell you how to raise your prices. It can give you an email. It can tell you this is what you need to do. This is the action you need to take. This is how you send the email. It can give you the whole process. But if you internally are nervous about doing it, you will not take that action. That's your role as a business advisor, to get people to take the action. Yeah, right. Lena says, I used to be, not anymore. Kirsty is put yours up by the CPI every year, right? So always nervous, or you're just doing the minimum. So Kirsty, I reckon if we can uncover the value that you provide, we need to be putting the prices up by a lot. And a lot of my clients come to me and they charge £300-400 a month max, and they end up charging £1,500 a month. That's a huge price increase. And that can be very, very scary. But the fear that we have is an emotional fear for raising our prices, not a logical one, because logically the numbers make sense to do it. You would have to lose a lot of clients to make it not worthwhile, right? So this is your true role as the business advisor. And what I would like to share with you today is something called the GROW model. I did not invent this, by the way. This is a coaching framework that I was taught many years ago. And it's all about running powerful advisory sessions to get your clients to take action. Let me know in the chat box, have you heard of the GROW model before? Yes or no? And do you implement it? So if you say yes, do you implement it in your advisory sessions? So okay. Great. Lena, do you implement it? No? Yeah. Okay, awesome. So for those of you who implement it, hopefully this is a good reminder, and this is how you should structure some of your advisory sessions. Now, I'm very aware some advisory sessions might be going through management reports. Some of your advisory sessions might be specific because you're talking about mortgages, for example. Some of your advisory sessions might not need the GROW model, but I I know hand on heart that if you use the GROW model to have an advisory conversation, you will get your clients to have buy-in. They will have the knowledge that they need to take, but they will also do what they need to do to take that action. You will be able to overcome any obstacles that are in the way, and you will help them make more money. Okay. Colin said, but effectively no. Okay, great. Yes and no, says David. I try to, but I get distracted. So it's not as structured as I like. Yeah, right. And you get distracted because what happens is you go down a rabbit hole, they'll mention something. So one of the other great skills of a business advisor is to be able to go, that's great, but we're focusing on this today. So they might decide to go, oh, shiny object. And one of your jobs is to steer them back. And the best way to do that is to follow this GROW model and go, yes, but we're still looking at your goals right now, for example. Okay, so it's a very simple and effective, powerful framework for structuring, coaching, and mentoring sessions. It stands for goal, reality, options, and will or way forward. And it helps guide conversations in a way that promotes clear thinking and practical action. Now, absolutely, it promotes clear thinking. Yes, it gets people to take action, but it enables you to be able to give advice without getting in trouble, without saying the wrong thing, without feeling like you have to have all the answers. You will not need to know any of the answers when you hold an advisory session using the GROW model. So I'm going to map it out for you. And please do ask me any questions as we go through. Okay, so the reason why this model works is because it's structured. That's why I love it. It enables me to go very simply. These are the 4 stages that my advisory session has to take. And I do one-on-one advisory with clients, okay? I also have my group program, but I handpick a few advisory clients every year to work one-on-one. And the reason why I like to do that is because it makes me a better advisor. So I can do advisory in group format. I can do advisory one-on-one. I can do advisory as I'm doing with you guys here. When I say to you, what are your goals of advisory? What is the reality of where you are? That kind of thing. A lot of the time I'm asking for your reality, and then I'm going to give you the options that you can take forward. It works. This model works really well because it's super structured and it's very flexible. The other thing, which takes you kind of outside of advisory, but I love it. I use this on my kids, right? I want my kids to take action. So I go through the GROW model in a conversation, and it enables them to then come up with a decision and take action because they want to, not because mummy said, you need to do this, this, and this, okay? It can be adapted to clients and also enable them to achieve exactly what it is that they want to achieve. It is not a great business tool just for coaching. As I said, anywhere where you're trying to get someone to take action, whether it's you want them to eat their peas, whether you want them to go to university or not go to university, you want them to clear out the trash, you can use this methodology on your kids as well as your clients. So goal is all about setting your destination. Reality is knowing what your current location is. Options is explore the possible routes, and will is choose a course and sail forward. So this is the process that we take a client through. So the GROW model allows you to coach your clients into action. And whilst as a business advisor, you may not see yourself as a coach, I want you to understand that business advisory is coaching, it's mentoring, it's training, it's facilitating, it's about being a confidant. You might find that you're a therapist sometimes. Every time I speak to my clients and I say, how many of you have had clients cry? And they're like, yeah, I always have a box of tissues when we're in advisory sessions. Because business is emotional, and every business problem is a personal problem showing up in your business. So we need to understand that if we're moving into the role of advisory, we're more than just an advisor. We're all of these other things, and we need to be able to hold that space. And I'm not saying this because I want to scare you. I'm saying this because actually you've got this. Because just like as a parent, we're a trainer, a coach, we're a mentor, we're a facilitator, we're all of these different things. I want you to understand that this is what you are as an advisor. Shireen, no, you're not getting the slides, my darling. As long as this records okay, we will send out a recording, but I won't be sharing the slides with you. All right. So why coaching? The reason why we need to move into kind of the coaching in our mindset, like you don't have to call yourself a business coach, by the way. You can call yourself a business advisor, you can call yourself a profit strategist, whatever it is you want to call yourself, right? But I want you to shift into why we have to move into this. First of all, we need to develop trust with our clients, and coaching is about having that trusted relationship. Coaching is about helping your clients feel heard. It's not about you doing the talking. It's about helping your clients get into a situation where they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, you get me. We need to teach our clients to fish. We don't want to give them the fish. So a lot of the time when I do coaching with my clients, I will get them to work out exactly what it is that they need. So I give them the context, I give them some training, and then I ask them, what are the first steps that you could take? And then I ask them things like, what are the questions that you have to enable you to take action? What's going to stop you? What do you need from me to be able to move this forward? Then I teach them to take action fast. So another great example of that is I was speaking to Al Haji this morning, who's on my call, and he was like, right, I've completed my avatar. I just need to go through it. I'll have it for you next week. And I said, well, that's great, but actually we've got a call tomorrow. Could you have it for me for tomorrow? And he's like, yeah, I think I could. Great, let's move faster. So we have to enable our clients to be accountable, to own it, to make their own decisions, but actually teach them to fish and go and move faster. And that's what makes a difference. I didn't tell him what he had to do. I asked him what he had to do. And then he gave me a time frame. And I was like, well, do you reckon you could do that a bit quicker and bring it back to me? I don't want it to be perfect. I just want it to be good enough that I can check it and tell you how to improve it. Let's move faster. That is a difference between giving someone all the answers and actually just encouraging them to take action. Okay. So your role as the coach, as the advisor, as the mentor, as the trainer is to be interested, not interesting. So if you think about it, right? Let me just stop sharing this. I don't know if you've ever had a boyfriend or a girlfriend. I don't know if you're married or you're not married. But I do know that you have probably got friends and you've probably got family. The friends and the family that drive you nuts are the ones that talk all the time about themselves. Would you agree with me? Your husband, you probably chose not to marry him, or your wife probably chose not to marry her because they talked all about themselves. The thing that enables you to feel comfortable with someone is when they are interested in you. So again, one of the reasons why I hold live webinars and not recorded webinars is because I'm actually interested in your answers. I want to help you. I take a note of everything that everybody says so that I can take all of the things that I'm talking about and give you context for your situation. Okay, that enables the reason why people come back to my webinars time and time again. It's also why I have non-accountants and bookkeepers work with me, because I'm interested in you rather than pretend that I'm the most interesting thing in the world. Okay. And if you think about how you hang out with people and the people that you like, they're interested in you. They're not interesting. I have a family member. Oh my gosh, he loves the sound of his own voice. He only talks about himself. He never asks how I am. I don't think he's got a clue how I am. But he does have an interesting job, and he hangs out with famous people, and it's ever so great. And, you know, he's been on jets with The Rock and all this kind of thing, the actor, The Rock. And yeah, he is interesting. But he's not interesting when I hear it for the third time, fourth time, fifth time, every Christmas and every summer that we meet up, right? So your role as the coach is to be interested, not interesting. You also need to meet your clients where they are. So the other thing that I do with my clients is go, do you know what? Like for you, Bob, let's just use random names. For you, Bob, I want you to do this. But actually, Claire, I want you to do this, which is going to stretch you. So one of the things that you need to do when you are holding advisory sessions is actually ask permission on how comfortable and how the client in front of you feels. So I can tell with my clients through conversation, looking at them, and also maybe some messages that we've sent behind the scenes, whether or not they're having a rough day, whether they're ready to be stretched. So sometimes I have to ask permission and go, hey, can I stretch you? How are you feeling today? And when they're like, yeah, I'm fine. Great. I'll meet them where they're at and I'll stretch them. This is all part of your role as a business advisor, right? It's about opening up and funneling ideas and options. So, right, okay, I'm interested in your opinion, client. I'm going to meet you where you're at. You're feeling good today. Great. Let's look at all the options that we've got, all the ideas and all the options. And then when we've done that, let's gain commitment on the action that we're going to take. All of this is what you do. And this might be in a 20-minute conversation, a 2-hour conversation, or a whole day conversation. All right. So let's look at the GROW model in more depth. First one is goal. G is goal, okay? It's a clearly defined endpoint. So this isn't about, oh, where do you want to be in 5 years? That's a great question. But if you're holding a mini advisory session, you might then say, right, what's the goal for this conversation? So say somebody says, hey, can I book in a call with you? And I just want to chat for 20 minutes. The first thing that you'll do is you'll say, great, what's the goal of this conversation? Why are we having this 20-minute chat? And you'll ask what it is that they want to achieve. So this is where you work closely to pinpoint exactly where they're aiming. It could be a whole day session. So what's the goal of their future? What's the goal of this session? We just need to define what it is that we're working on. It goes beyond daydreaming about big ambitions. It's about nailing down the clear practical goals that they can act on, and whether it's for this session or for the future plans, okay? So you might say to them, what specific financial goals are you aiming to achieve this quarter? Describe the financial milestones you want to reach by the end of this year. What's one immediate financial change you wish to implement? I've got my my coaching call with my coach in a moment, okay? And he's going to say, right, this is what we've gone through before. So he'll do a recap, and then he'll say to me, right, what are your goals now for the next 5 sessions? So we work in 5 sessions, okay? And he'll ask me that. He'll say, what are we working on? This is what we've achieved. This is what we're winning at. This is what we're failing at. What are the goals for the next 5 sessions? And he'll do that with me. So what are other questions that you could ask around the goal setting? And whether or not you're an accountant or a bookkeeper, because I know some of you aren't accountants and bookkeepers, whether or not you're an accountant or bookkeeper, this GROW model works with any industry, any profession. Like I said, you can use it with your kids and you can use it with your clients. So I'd like you to think about your specific situation. And if you're holding a coaching session, whether it's in group or whether it's in a one-to-one session, you need to have goal questions. Then we need to look at the reality of the situation. So this is where you look at where your current client currently stands in relation to their goals. It's about understanding their context, their challenges, what they've already tried. Now, if you have worked with a client before, you're going to know some of this, but you're going to ask them to recap because, again, remember this knowing, doing gap. They know all of their past experience, they know their contact, they know context, they know their challenges, but we need to raise them to the surface so that they have awareness of it. We need to look in the whites of their eyes, and we need to be able to go, right, we've been here a few times. This has been your reality for a long time. And then we need to go to the obstacles, which is the next section, to overcome them. So don't assume anything and recap the reality on where they are. All right. So reality questions could be, what is your current financial position in relation to setting goals? This is where the first time you have a conversation with them. What financial strategies have you implemented recently, and what results have they yielded? What financial challenges are currently impacting your business or personal finances? And this one's really key. The personal finances is really key because, again, like every business problem that we have is often a personal problem showing up in our business. And I'm not saying that sentence lightly, by the way. I just want you to think about that. If you think about your business problems, it's a personal problem showing up in your business. Even if your business problems are you need to let a team member go, that's a personal problem. That's you personally. If you're struggling to do that, that will be an emotional thing. That's a personal problem showing up in your business, okay? I want you to really understand that, because when you do advisory, you're dealing with people, you're not dealing with numbers. When you're doing compliance, you're dealing with numbers, you're not dealing with people. It's really important to understand. And when you understand that, it stops being about how much you know and the advice you give, and it's actually about how can you help that person in front of you overcome their fears, their worries, the things that keep them up at night, and actually ask them what is actually going on. What's the problem behind the problem behind the problem? Then we move into the options and obstacles, which is the problems that stop them from taking action. It could be about brainstorming ideas, thinking creatively. It could be evaluating different paths, especially without judgment. So you might think, right? So here's a really good example. We can take, I'm not teaching you to suck eggs, I'm just sharing with you. We can take £5,000 a month here in the UK and put it into our pension pot at the moment. And it's a really good way to funnel money out of our business if we have a limited business. You, as the advisor, might think that that's a brilliant idea. However, the client that you have might not be worried about the future and might be worried about their mortgage. And whilst funneling £5,000 a month into their pension looks like the right decision to make for the accountant, it's the wrong decision for where your client is. And if they say to you, I can't afford that £5,000, I need to take it out of the business, and you might be a little bit judgy, said with love, might be a little bit judgy and go, yeah, but that's just daft. Otherwise, you're going to have like huge tax that you're going to pay. That's a them problem, not a you problem. And you need to give them the options, okay, without judging it. So if someone is trying to take loads of money out of their business, you as a conservative accountant or bookkeeper might go, that's absolutely daft. However, you can't judge that. You can't use that kind of thinking. You have to do it in a way without judgment. All right. And that can be really hard because logically, it does not make sense to do that. Logically, for you, it might be we need to save tax. We need to take less money out of the business. It doesn't seem like a good idea. We need to do things and give them the options. We need to get our clients to make decisions, as long as they're not doing anything illegal, right? We need to keep them on the straight and narrow. Otherwise, you have to let them go. We don't want to have clients that do anything illegal. That's the first rule of vampire clients. We have to try not to be judgy. And as a business advisor, we can be judgy because we think that what we know might be the right way, but it's not necessarily the right way for the client. And that's, again, the thing that differentiates you from AI. So AI will say, these are your options. They'll be very pragmatic about it. There'll be no emotion behind it. They won't understand the client that they're talking to, even if the client's pouring out their heart. They won't logically get it, okay, or emotionally get it. They'll logically get it. You need to understand the person in front of you. A business advisory relationship is all about relationship and is not about the numbers. Okay, I just want to say that many, many times. So if there were no financial constraints, what would be your ideal strategy? This is where we write down all the options. Have you considered any alternative financial tools or investment opportunities? How can you transform current financial challenges into growth opportunities? Get them to answer these questions, and you try not to be too judgy with answers. Now, if you have been working, for example, with construction firm owners, and you know that this is the best way to do it, I would always give your advice after they have brainstormed. So you might be able to go, let's have a look at your options. You list out as many options that you can think of, and then you can start to tease out your thinking afterwards and get their opinions on it. Okay, so the O can be about obstacle, options, and then their opinions on it. All right, and then we look at the will do, the way forward. Now, what we need to look at here is how are you going to get them to take action? This is the most difficult thing. So this is the knowing doing gap. This is all about how you can actually go, do you know what? This is what you have suggested, Mr. or Mrs. Business Accountant. This is what my options, this is what I like. So now this is what I'm going to do. And they need to decide what it is that they're going to do. You can't tell them. They actually have to commit to it. Like I said right at the beginning, when it comes to helping your children, if you tell them what to do, they won't take action. If you give them the options and show them and say to them, well, what do you feel like you could achieve today? They will take action. I know for a fact, if I tell my kids that they need to empty the dishwasher, they will not empty the dishwasher. But if I say to them, hey guys, these are some things that we need to get done. Who's going to do what? Who is going to commit to it? What are the options to make sure that this gets done by 5 o'clock? They have to decide what action they're going to take. They can't go, oh, not me. They have to make a decision. And the people who engage in a business advisory relationship have to make a decision. They're not paying you to come up with ideas. They're paying you to actually take massive action. So they will come up with a way forward. And it doesn't matter if it's a teeny tiny way forward, at least they're going to take action. All right. So way forward questions could be, from the options we've discussed, which one do you feel most confident about pursuing? That's a really nice one, because they can then turn around and go, oh, I'm not confident about any. So then what you have to do is take them back to the obstacles and go, how do we overcome this? What's the reality? Help them overcome the fear. Okay. Outline the immediate actions that you can take. On a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to executing the financial plan? So this is something I love doing. When we work through signature methodology with our clients, I always ask them, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you with this methodology? And if they say anything less than a 7 or an 8, I want to say to them, well, what would make it an 8? Or what would make it a 9? Or what would make it a 10? And then they give me feedback, because that's an obstacle that we need to overcome to enable them to take their methodology and then start to go out and sell it. All right. So all the time, as an advisor, you have to help them look at the obstacles that are stopping them and enable them to be confidently moving forward. And outline the immediate actions you take to begin this financial strategy. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to executing this financial plan? Are all really good questions once you've put together the plan. Okay. All right. So let me know in the chat box, and I've whizzed through this. I said this was a 40-minute session. I've whizzed through this. What has been something that I have shared today that has been an aha moment or something that you can take action on? Okay, so if you think about the GROW method, one of the things that is very important is the will do or way forward. So this is for me asking you, what will you do, or what's a way forward from what I've gone through today with you? Let me know in the chat box. Okay. Having some example questions to keep the model on track is really helpful. Great. Yeah. So most business problems are personal problems showing up in your business. Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about you, okay, sorry, just to pick on you guys with no judgment. If you think about you, everything that's stopping you from having the business that you want to have is your emotions getting in the way. Now, those emotions can be very founded, right? They can be very true. Like some of you might be going through a breakup. Some of you might have an illness. Some of you might have elderly parents. These are all personal problems that are going to show up in your business. Some of you might have kids that are desperately screaming whilst you're sat here listening to my webinar. You might find that, you need to have some time off and you can't have time off and you're at the edge of burnout. That's a personal problem showing up in your business. It could be fear. It could be trauma from, this is terrible. It could be trauma from a child that someone has told you that you can't do something, and therefore you've taken that into your business and you believe these things about yourself and you don't take action. Okay. Rosalind said, GROW methodology overall, a structure moving forward. Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Every expert was once a beginner. So true in any activity. 100%. 100%. Transition from historically used advisory methods into factoring in aspects of the GROW model. Yeah, a lot of us can feel that advisory is talking through management reports, running a Fathom report and talking through that. It could be, this is why you need to do X, Y, Z, and educating. Educating is important. We tend to do, when I help my clients, we tend to do educating through videos in a scalable way. And then we do the GROW model to help overcome the obstacles. So when I teach my clients to be advisors, it's how can we leverage your time? You don't want to be saying the same thing to every single client. You're going to have a signature methodology. You're going to have strategies. You might have 150 strategies that you work with your clients. You teach the strategies through videos, and you can use them time and time again. And then you adapt each of those strategies to each client individually through the GROW methodology, in a way of like send them the video and then work through it. Or you might decide to just coach them through that and give them feedback on some of the things that you've taught them through the videos. Okay. If you don't have the answer, questioning and probing further is a good approach. Yeah, and actually, Collins, you probably don't have the answer most of the time, especially if you're starting with a new niche, or you don't have like 100 clients that you've worked with all doing the same thing. If you don't understand an industry, you have to ask that client in front of you about their industry, what they know. You just have to help them uncover everything so they can then take action. Nikki says an advisor does not have to have all the other answers. Use the GROW model to tease out response. Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So thank you. That's me going through the GROW model. I will send through a recording of this. It's a brilliant, brilliant framework. And as I said, it's not my framework. I am not here to go, hey, look at this thing I've invented, because I haven't invented it. If you want to find out more about it, I've got, I think it's episode 19, where I talk about the GROW model in more depth in my podcast. So go to the Business Advisor podcast, where I talk about that there. Also in my book, The Business Advisor Playbook, that again, you can download that for free. I think chapter 19, I go into the GROW model there. So Shireen, you asked for the slides, go and download the book. Please do go and get that, all free, right? That's all free. If you would like to find out about how to take all of your experience, all your education, if you're struggling with packaging up advisory so you can charge for it, and you're fed up with giving it away for free and you want to know how to price it, that's what I specialize in helping you do. When I send through the recording of this, I will send a link for you to book a call. If you're interested and you don't want to wait for that to happen, because that will be tomorrow probably now, if you don't want to wait for that to happen and you want to book a call, I will actually give you a link for that now. And if you've got any questions, then just send me a message on LinkedIn, right? I'm more than happy to answer any questions. The way that it works when you book a call, and this really will take a lot of the fear away if you're nervous about talking to me. The way that it works when you book a call is you book a call, then I send you through a whole outline of the program, how much it costs, how it works. If you then read all of that and go, no, it's not for me, you can just cancel the call. But probably the best thing to do, if you're like, I don't know if now's the time or if it's something I should do in the future, what I would say right now is I have never been so busy with people thinking that they could do advisory on their own, try and create their own signature system, try and productize and systemize and make money from advisory. They've tried it on their own. People like me have been saying this for years and years and years, that you need to move into advisory, and now they want to get help. And I'm so happy. One of my clients, Emily, came back to me yesterday. She said to me, do you know what? I've built the monster business. You taught me how to grow a great business, but now it's turned into a monster. Now I need help. And I'm seeing a lot of my past clients come back to me now to go into productizing advisory. So if you are fed up with doing this on your own, if you'd like some support with it, you are more than welcome to reach out and find out how that I can help you. Okay. Thanks, Guy. That's very kind of you. Let me just, I actually haven't shared the link with everyone. I just shared it with myself. Technology is not my forte. You're very welcome, you made. I will see you soon. But thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining me. The recording will get sent out. A link to book a call will also get sent out. If you're not connected with me on LinkedIn, please connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the best way to find out how to download the new book that is still being proofread. It's not ready yet, but it's like the first proof is here. I just need to proof it properly. I want to add in a couple of chapters as well. But yeah, that's all getting sorted. But follow me on LinkedIn is the best way for the most up-to-date stuff. And if you've got any questions, send me any messages. And if you'd like to book a call to find out how we can sort you out with advisory so that you can build your confidence and be charging good money for it, and stop winging it and stop doing custom advisory and stop giving it away for free. Please stop giving it away for free. Then book a call with me. All right. Thanks so much. Been awesome. This is brilliant. It will transform the way you hold sessions. Practice, practice, practice. So the grow model, just to take it all the way back to experience, the grow model will, your starter's novice, right? It will feel clunky. It will feel uncomfortable. You'll be like, oh, what's the next thing I need to ask? Once you've done this a few times, you'll start to become proficient, and then you'll become an expert in it in a few sessions. Understand that you are going to be clunky at the beginning. Forgive yourself for that. Your client in front of you will not know that it's clunky. They won't know you're working through the grow model. They'll just think that, oh my God, this is really like well run. It's a well run session. If you run advisory sessions, and sorry, I don't want to be the lady who said like she gets caught off guard and going down shiny object syndrome. We don't want to do that. Our job is to be a leader as a business advisor. We need to lead the frameworks, the decision making. We need to guide people. We can use case studies to back up any suggestions that we suggest. But if we don't have this grow model in our advisory sessions, you're going to be all over the place and people aren't going to see the value. Value comes from them taking massive action. They're not going to take massive action. There's a huge knowing, doing gap. You know you need to raise your prices. You know you need to do marketing. You know that you need to have business advisory as part of your model, your business model. But doing it, that's a difficult thing. And that's why everybody needs a business advisor. Okay. And that's why they're going to pay you the big bucks, because the knock-on effect is they take action and get great results. I'm going to get off my step where I'm preaching. Thanks so much for joining me today. Have a great week. I'll see you next week for next week's webinar. I don't know what it's about, but you can go and find out about it, and we'll send out the link anyway and the training for it. All right. Have a good one. I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.